So really, I believe the opportunity for all of us is to go from flux to flow. So flux is here to stay, disruption, change, chaos, all the things that we're living and experiencing right now in our lives and in the world. And then what's the opportunity? So in the previous podcast, I talked about the future as flex. And so if we look at flux, flex, and flow as a progression, flux is the constant disruption, change. It's the reality of life. It's how we deal with it that determines our trajectory. Flex is the mindset, the ability to be resilient and to bounce back as we're navigating flux. And then flow is that ease and peaceful and that place where we're no longer feeling like we're stuck in a pattern or a cycle that we can't get out of, or that we feel overwhelmed consistently. Flow is aspirational. I'm sure you've had moments of flow where time disappears, you're lost, you're so engaged with what you're doing that things become timeless, or, that saying, time flies. All of that is flow. And it makes me think of my granddaughter, Olive, who has taken up crocheting. And she's made amazing little things. She made me, for Valentine's Day, she made me a little puppy dog. And I watch her crochet, and you can see that she's in flow. She's in a hand-eye, making something, creating something that's causing her to get out of the mental mind and to go into something that's flowing and rhythmic and patterned. And so I think that really what's happening is we're being called to do that. I read a quote the other day about, are we consuming or are we creating? And I loved that question, because consuming means we're constantly scrolling, we're constantly intaking, information, and there's a place for that. But if we're doing it constantly and we're not balancing it with creating, which could be crocheting, it could be woodworking, it could be a number of things, but anything creating. For me, I like to write. And so if we're not balancing our consumption of information and what we're doing and viewing with creation, then that's when we start to feel even more overwhelmed, or we start to feel burned out. And so when we look at flow, it's the opposite of burnout. When you're in flow, you're waking up with a sense of everything is right in the world, even though there's a lot wrong with the world. And so you wake up going, I'm at peace with myself. I'm taking care of myself. I'm nourishing myself. I'm exercising myself. You're very aware of what you're doing to fill your cup with positive inputs. So, and that's mind, body, and spirit. And I'll give you an example. This podcast is being recorded in my new home. And my new home is High Bank waterfront. And if I were to turn my head to the right, I would have a ocean view. And the view for me is not about a materialistic aspiration. It's about a nervous system, calming, soothing. My environment shapes my mind reality for me. And so everybody's different, but I'm very, very informed by my environment. So the more calm and soothing I can make my environment, the more I am in flow. And so, for example, I can sit here and look out at the ocean for 5 minutes and feel instantly at peace, instantly in flow, and instantly perspective is back in place. Now, you may not have the same reality as me, but that happens if I go and walk near the seawall. It happens if I'm out and I hear the birds, the hummingbirds and the eagles. And so what I do know about flow is it exists when we're not engaging the mind in the world as it is. So flow is when we're taking ourselves out of the noise and we're allowing ourselves to be part of nature, part of the bigger world that is unseen. And so with flow, and I can honestly say for me, I used to equate flow with slow. And this is an interesting, I talked in a previous episode about morphing of identities. So the reason I equated flow with slow was because my speed was, I got things to do, places to go, people to meet, tick tock. That was my rhythm and my pace. flow felt like I was slowing down, and somehow I was either going to miss out or what I was doing wasn't going to be as important as when I got fast and I was achieving something. And I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but so that resistance to flow for many of us is we'll say things like, but Cheryl, you don't understand. I got a million things going on. So I can't flow. Well, yeah, or Cheryl, like, okay, I hear you in theory, but in practicality, my kid needs to go to a soccer game after I get home from work, and my husband needs to make dinner, and my kid, like, my mom is sick. Like, yes, and those are all real life circumstances. And circumstances are always going to be part of being human. And when we're in flow, we accept that as humans, we're going to have flux in our lives. And flow is, for me, it's as if I've shifted a perspective away from flow is slow to flow is ease. Flow is peace. Flow is calm in my body. Flow is making really well-informed decisions. Flow is being able to go fast while keeping aware of the impact of that. So there are times where speed is appropriate, but you can be in flow and be in speed at the same time, because as you access flow's energetic, it's not limited to sitting and looking at the ocean. It's available anytime, anywhere, simply by becoming aware of, I choose to be in flow right now. So this rebranding I did from Flux to Flow, the future is Flex, is really a lived experience by me, but it's also where I believe we're going as a humanity. Because again, if we link the AI revolution that's going on, and it is mind-boggling, the revolution that is happening. We only know a fraction of what's transforming as a result of AI and technology improvement. And that's going to continue. And so as a human, if we think about the opportunities of that, if we are going to leverage AI so that we have more free time, then that enables us to be thinking the way I'm talking, which is about flow and having more flow in our lives. If you think of culture and where we've been and how we got to where we are, culture has rewarded us for speed. It has rewarded us for working hard. And somehow there's a badge of honor about the harder you work, the better of a human you are, which I believe for all of us, that mantra has switched in the last decade to, wait a minute, is hard work really all that it's meant to be? And again, in my book, What the Flux, I talk about these deeper existential questions. One that I asked myself post-pandemic was, when is hard work become destructive to what I'm trying to create in my relationships? Or what is the quality of my relationship given that I choose to work so hard? Or is it true that I need to work hard in order to increase abundance? Or can I flow with my work and abundance can increase with that flow? These are all fantastic questions, ones I've been asking myself and I ask my coach clients. But I really do feel that's where we're heading, is we are heading from flux to flow. And we're heading to a place where, yes, chaos will continue to happen. Yes, our life circumstances are going to continue to happen. But how we approach them with our mindset and our behaviors and our solutions is going to determine whether we feel peaceful about the chaos or whether we feel overwhelmed and burdened by it. The future is flux, flex, and flow.